Greetings. My name is Cleveland, and my assessment podcast topic is CAS standards, and we're going to break it down and go into the CAS standards for offices of admissions across the United States. I'm going to give some examples of the Office of Admissions that I work in at the RELIS Academic Alliance as well. CAS, or Council for the Advancement of Standards in Higher Education, was founded in 1979. The mission is the Council for Advancement of Standards in Higher Education is a consortium of professional associations in higher education which promotes the use of its professional standards for the development, assessment, and improvement of quality student learning programs and services. There are many functional areas that have CAS guidelines, but we are about to dive into undergraduate admissions programs or UAPS guidelines. Basically, they are specific standards and guidelines for offices of admissions. So again, as I stated earlier, you can go to an institution in the state of Texas and the admissions process is going to be similar to an institution in New York or California, so on and so forth. All of these institutions have gotten together. They've laid out a plot and a plan of how admissions offices should look, and based on those guidelines, they self-assess themselves to make sure that they are up to that national standard each year. So the UAPS mission is to enroll undergraduate applicants who will both individually and collectively benefit from the collegiate learning environment through academic and personal enrichment and development. So let's talk about how UAPS standards compare to the newly established RELIS campus where I serve as an admissions coordinator. So here we're going to compare a couple of UAPS standards versus how we implemented those standards at the RELIS Academic Alliance when we started developing our Office of Admissions just a couple of short months ago. So, standard number one, UAPS must recruit, admit, and encourage enrollment of applicants whose academic personnel credentials are consistent with the overall priorities and mission of the institution. At RELIS, my office services junior and senior level undergraduate students only. So most of our programming and recruiting methods are meant for this group, which aligns with the mission and purpose of the institution. So as you can see here, RELIS was guided from, or this particular standard was used from the UAPS standards when our Office of Admissions was developed. UAPS standard number two states that UAPS must assess and evaluate the abilities, needs, and expectations of prospective students as they move from secondary to post-secondary education, from one post-secondary institution to another, or experience a period of non-enrollment. So secondary to post-secondary population, as far as RELIS goes, that population is going to be not applicable to us. We're not looking for students who comes directly from high school, obviously, because we don't have freshman courses at our institution. Students who are going from one post-secondary institution to another, that's a very limited population. Looked up some statistics, and roughly 80% of students stay at the home institution in which they begun after their first year. So not a lot of students in the United States, and this study was done in 2015. Not a lot of students in the United States are leaving their home institution after that first year to attend another institution. And then finally, the students who have had a period of non-enrollment, that's going to be our largest population at the RELIS campus. So with that being said, all of our programming is geared toward this population to bring them in to find out what their motivational beliefs are and why they are deciding to continue their education. Recruitment plans must be developed for targeted groups, first generation, TRIO eligible, and other underrepresented populations, veterans, and international students. So at RELIS, the way we align this particular standard, was as far as first generation, although we do not enroll students straight out of high school, our office does attend high school events to establish early outreach. So we want those first generation students to know that we are here. We are a institution of higher education. We will help those students do applications such as their financial aid and submit an application to a local community college in the Bryan College Station area called Blinn College. So although we don't recruit or we don't admit these first generation students, we want to let them know that we are definitely here for them. So we do establish contact with those students. Second population, TRIO eligible and other underrepresented populations. Our office recruits at cultural events such as Bryan's Fiestas Patrias Parade and more cultural events as well. So we definitely try to go out there and reach those underrepresented populations so they can come to our institution and make it a diverse place. Next is going to be veterans. Our institution is VA friendly. Program events are done at local VA offices. All of our institutions at the RELIS Academic Alliance do have their own VA veteran or veteran services office to where they can veterans can receive their VA benefits such as the GI Bill and the Hazelwood Act. And finally, international students. International students are targeted at community events such as Brazos Valley World Fest and more. So we are reaching out to all of these populations, and it just goes to show these are a couple of examples, but all of these pass the test, and it shows that the RELIS Academic Alliance looked at these UAPS standards before we started developing our Office of Admissions. CAS UAPS responsibilities are the following. An Office of Admissions must serve as a knowledgeable resource. That person or those people in the Office of Admissions must know everything. So it's always smart for those admissions staff to be cross-trained in multiple areas. For example, an accurate representation of the admissions calendar, academic offerings, financial aid, and other related services will be very, very helpful for a person in the Office of Admissions to have. They serve as the face of the institution. Most of the time, they're going to be the first person that a prospective student is going to reach out to before they enroll in that particular institution. So they must be as knowledgeable as a resource as they possibly can be. Secondly, they must consider all student populations when recruiting. For example, an office should always include community venues in their programming for potential adult students. I myself find myself at many community venues or community events such as the Brazos Valley Fair and Rodeo, wine tasting fest, so on and so forth. And by spending time at those events, I am able to interact with those adult students who have been away from higher education for some time, and I'm able to start getting those students to take steps to become enrolled at the RELIS Academic Alliance, which is something that's pretty cool to me. Third standard, they must be able to hold important conversations with students and families. So basically, UAPS must provide students and families with comprehensive information about cost of attendance and financial aid. If you work in the Office of Admissions, you have to be familiar with these processes because these are the most frequently questions coming in from families. And then finally, they should utilize currently enrolled students, staffs, and faculty members in the recruitment process. On the background of this photo is a young lady who started with us. She is one of our pioneers, as we're calling the 101 students that started with us at the RELIS Academic Alliance. And this is a recruitment piece that has gone out on Facebook, Twitter, and many other social media avenues. So you can see that we are already using some of these processes, incorporating our own students and our staff in our recruitment process. The RELIS Office of Admissions was established in February of 2018 with the hiring of two staff members, where I was one. Although I did not know the theory behind the CAS at the time, and of course I do now with taking this assessment course and some other courses uh, since we've been in graduate school, I can remember implementing these standards in our office, and that two-member team was able to not only establish the framework of the office for future hires, but we're able to create and recruit our own target demographic effectively, all before campus would open 5 short months later. The Rellis campus serves as a great, fresh idea of how to implement these standards in modern day higher education. It just goes to show that with CAS standards, a program or a entire department or even a complete institution that has been developed in present day higher education does not have to reinvent the wheel. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed my project.